Hi guys, just going to talk to you about how heavy you should lift to build muscle. In recent times, there's been several studies showing that high rep training using very light loads can actually cause the same hypertrophy, same muscle size gains as training with more traditional heavier rep ranges. You know, that 6 to 12 hypertrophy range that everyone talks about. So Stuart Phillips of McMaster University has shown a couple of studies that training with only 30% of your one rep max, so very light stuff you normally reserve for just sort of rehab work or maybe even endurance training, can cause hypertrophy if you take those sets to failure. And just recently I saw that Brad Schoenfeld, kind of like godfather of research on hypertrophy, has just had a meta-analysis accepted for publication where he's found that, yeah, there's no difference. You can achieve the same amount of hypertrophy training light or heavy, which is all really interesting. However, it probably doesn't mean you need to be doing too much different. First of all, you know, it's not improving hypertrophy, it's just doing the same. So you know, the most efficient way to achieve hypertrophy is probably training in that 6 to 12 rep range. It gives you the stimulus to grow without having to do incredibly long sets or taking yourself to the point of nausea, because when you're training really light but for really super high reps, sometimes people have been reported to be vomiting in these studies and that sort of stuff. So really training super hard, getting quite nauseous, getting tons of lactic acid, and also they have to go to failure. Now, in the 6 to 12 rep range, you can't be way from failure, but most of your sets can probably have a couple of reps in reserve and you'll still get the same result. Now, going to failure is quite draining. It's some studies have shown that actually it's disproportionately draining compared to the advantages and the stimulation you get. So, in that respect, using really low loads that force you to go to failure all the time isn't probably the best way to train day in, day out. Now, it is a viable strategy to use occasionally, definitely worth having something in your toolbox to put in, or if you're injured or you've got like a bit of an aching joint that doesn't tolerate heavy stuff, it's a great opportunity to use lighter load training and still get an effective hypertrophy stimulus for sure. But should you be completely changing your training away from the traditional heavy stuff down to the light load stuff, I'd suggest not. And another practical element on that, in these studies where they're going to failure with light loads, they've got a team of research assistants there screaming at them and pushing them to go that little bit further, get that next rep until they really do hit failure. And they've also got spotters there to keep them safe, you know, or whatever, if they're for whatever exercise they're doing. Now, in the gym where you are, I'm sure you haven't got a team of people standing around driving you on to truly reach failure, and on certain exercises you're choosing to use, you need a spotter if you're going to go to failure, and you maybe don't have someone there to spot for you. So on that basis, you have to ask yourself, can you genuinely push yourself so hard that you go to failure with 30% of your one rep max? That's a lot of reps, and likely your mind's going to give up before your body does. So psychologically, it's tough to push yourself through that. Whereas working hard for 6 to 12 reps, yeah, it's not easy, but it's more doable for most people. So on that basis, what I'd say is this is really good to know, very useful information to have at hand, but doesn't necessarily mean you need to change anything about your program unless something specific happens. For example, yeah, we talked about having an injury, or perhaps you're away traveling and there's only very light loads available in the hotel gym and it only goes to 10 kilos, in which case the good news is you can push really hard to failure for high reps and get a growth stimulus. All right, guys, just a short video there covering that. So, yeah, it's something that a few of you may have been wondering about, whether they need to train their training to light loads.